Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. Hi, everyone. I'm Tille here, as introduced by Mr. Matthew. I'm going to talk about disabled elders ecosystem, environmental evaluations, and home modification for elderly patients with disabilities. This is the topic given to me, and this topic is close to my heart because I'm an occupational therapist. And as working as an occupational therapist, we deal a lot of home visits, home assessments, and modifications to the needy. Yeah. So let me go through the contents briefly. So we'll be talking about who are the disabled elders, and when we talk about independence, what it means. Yeah. And what are the ecosystem or environmental structures and evaluations that we can carry out. And talking about environmental evaluations, there's no point if not we talk about home safety and environmental hazards that's available in the homes or house of elderly persons. Yeah. So we'll be talking about home adaptations and modifications as interventions on overcoming the challenges, in living conditions of elderly disabled. Yeah. So let me start the first slide. Okay. So when we talk about common disability issues in elders, it's about always the deconditioning process, and also the weakness, when we get older. So we'll be having slow walking cadence, reduced walking pace, weakness, limited range of motion of the joints, and also most commonly we hear pain upon movements and feeling lethargic, less energetic, or the worst condition can be the person can be bedridden. So whatever condition it is, these are the main manifestations or issues in elders that make them difficult to use, facilities in the environment. So when we talk about environment, it's mostly the house that we live in. So as an occupational therapist, what our main aim for elders with disability? Our aim is to achieve highest level of independence as much as possible or as practical. So whether it's going to use grab bars, raised toilets, or seats, or anything that can improve their functional performance, in their own environment. And if, as much as possible, we also want to avoid assistive devices only if necessary, because they are going to add another extra burden for our elders to use assistive devices, and it's going to be difficult for them unless they are trained. So need to do a careful assessment before we introduce any assistive devices, but we'll be talking about these devices soon. And it's important also when we talk about elders, as we grow old, we need some kind of help. So we need to talk about empowering the caregivers. Most of us here are caregivers of our own elders. So we need to know how to give proper education, also training, for them to handle the disabled elders to be independent, in their own home environment. Okay. With that, when we talk about disabilities, it should be a holistic approach, in caring for them. And we use many models of occupational therapy, and the main important is the person, environment, and occupation. An occupation is whatever a person is doing in their own environment. So when we talk about holistic approach, then we must take into consideration the person in the environment and what kind of activities they are performing every day. So in this case, their environment might be their house or their own room, and mostly use of kitchen, washroom, and so on, and some outdoor activities. Okay. when talking about disabled elders ecosystem and environmental modification, what other modifications can be done, in response to demands placed on an elder person by the environment? So we can modify the environment the person is staying, or the activities that they are doing. We can change the way they are doing the activity, or sometimes we can introduce or modify the tools they are using, like the spoon they are using, the cups, their bathing equipments, and so on. Yeah. And when we talk about the adaptive tools or the aids, aids and adaptation, it's an assistive device, that compensate for loss of function. Once we disable, we might lose some function, and an assistive device is very important or very useful, to enhance the elderly person's ability to perform their activities of daily living. So there are many kinds of adaptive tools to be used for feeding needs, for dressing purposes, bathing, and toileting, and so on. So we'll be talking about all this in my presentation. All right, and we can take questions at the end. So small changes in the ecosystem can result in major functional gain in elders. Research shows that a small change in the ecosystem can make a person become more independent, more choices of independent, and also less dependent on the caregiver, and it saves their own time, and it gives them some form of confidence. So it can be medications, it can be improvement in terms of wearing their own shoes, walking, and also when we talk about functional gains, it's about modification of places which are in different heights, the signage, proper signage, so that they can clearly see and use their proper facilities in the outdoor environment. The chairs and beds they are using, the grab bars, a simple grab bar, which is very helpful to prevent falls, the proper lighting, enough lighting system, the best flooring for them, and also to make sure as much as possible the floors are even. So why modifications or the adaptations are needed? It's very much needed to help the elder person to be as independent as possible in their own environment, and this will help them to compensate for their functional loss. And main purpose is, of course, we know falls is a common issue in when we get older, and these modifications surely will try minimize the potential for falls. Okay, so briefly what we know about falls is mainly caused by intrinsic and extrinsic factors, and extrinsic factors cause until 50% of all the falls. So the environmental hazards are common, like the clutters, the inadequate lighting, the rugs that we use which are not suitable, the stairs in our homes which are double story or apartments, and also the bedside falls, and then the indoor falls like bathroom, bedroom, and kitchen, which are slippery, and then also the outdoor falls which are curbs and steps. Okay. Further, the falls can create fear in the elder person to continue be mobile. So this can lead to many more complications and immobility issues, and also it can cause nursing home placements, and increased use of medical services. So all this can be prevented by simple low cost modifications, or if they need high and modifications. So management is mainly careful or detailed assessment of their environment. Individual evaluation is very important because we cannot assume every elder person is same, and unique individual preferences. We must consider the family's preferences, the need for modification, and whether the house is suitable for that kind of modifications. Yeah, and then the family needs very much important, because sometimes we do recommend some recommendations, and then they just do the purpose of our advice, but the usage is very much less, or it's minimally used. Yeah, so it should be for universal usage. Yeah, everybody can use the facilities. Yeah, we'll talk about it at the end. Yeah, so when we giving the suggestion, should be realistic. Yeah, the modification or any adaptive tools, and also very very important is training how to use the introduced tools. Yeah, and modified spaces. Yeah, and periodically, yeah, we need to re-evaluate in case of deterioration in their performance level or functional level. Yeah, so when we talk about evaluation, it's physical evaluation and also the ecosystem itself. So there are two things there. We must assess the elder person in terms of their strength, their balance, their vision, hearing, sensory issues, and also their extent of deformities or disabilities, so that we can look into the ecosystem, their homes, their type of house they stay in, the facilities they are using, whether they are going outdoors, they are using public transportation or their own transport, and other needs. Yeah. So, and also the environmental factors, which are the hazards that I've spoken about earlier. So when we talk about the ecosystem itself, there are various type of houses designs all around the world. Yeah, it depends on their surface, their type of country. Yeah, and also culture. Yeah, you can see all type of house, tree house to tribal house, to the white house, gingerbread house, or the wooden houses. And in scenario of Malaysian system, we have also a range of houses which varies from apartments to condominiums, terrace houses to semi-detached house, townhouses to bungalows, pensions, or unit houses, villas or farmhouses. Yeah, and some cottage. And they can be or either single story, double story, or high rise buildings. All these are important points to pick up, because all the accessibility are different. Yeah, and also we need to know the cultural differences that they have before we can uh, assess and also introduce the modifications, whether they are relevant or not. Yeah, these are common type of houses that we see in Malaysia. Village houses, yeah, the water houses, long houses, to the kampong town houses with, yeah, and also the modern houses, bungalows, and also double story or condominiums. Yeah, so how we can evaluate, yeah, the ecosystem of an elderly disabled person. Yeah, so it surely you need a home visit. We have to really see how the person, the disabled elder, is functioning in their own house. Sometimes when we ask the family to come for home visit, they will say it's fine, and my father is doing well, my mother is doing well at home environment. But when we actually go and see, they'll be like just lying down on the bed, yeah, watching TV, with no other activities, because they can't move around the house, because they don't feel confident, they have fear of fall, or they just can't use the facilities because they can't do it because of their disabilities. Yeah, so advantage of home visit is we can identify the community resources that available around them. Then we can straight away talk or educate their safety adaptations that need to be done. And it's always easy, because when you face the person, it's we can see or we can feel the feelings and also the sensitivity of the person. Yeah, and also the peoples around him. And then we can also provide emotional support straight away. We can give education and also to the patient and also the caregiver. Yeah, and from there it's easier to recommend the modifications, because we can readily measure the heights and the width of the door, so that whether we can see the wheelchair can access or not, or whether they can use the frame to walk into the bathroom or not. These kind of things we can do it when we go physically, uh, to their home environment, or wherever they are moving around. So home visit for disabled elders is to evaluate clients' home to determine environmental barriers and to facilitate independent living. That's the main keyword. We want them to live independently in their own environment. So when we talk about independence, it's about self-care and home management skills. And it's also about prescribing assistive devices or aids or adaptive tools, recommending for adaptations or modifications, and also training. It can be done in their own house. And assessment is to identify the possible limitation of person or ability to function in daily life. So it's very important for us to carry out in their own environment. And home modification for elderly patients with disabilities is no matter when the older person's home was built, and regardless whether it's modern or traditional in style, and how they age, but most are not updated to accommodate the residents' changing needs. It's built over the time, but our needs are changing, but never reviewed. So home adaptation or modification can provide friendlier for the older person, so that they may continue to live in the comfort of their own home. Okay. When to undertake home modifications? There's a common question when we need to do. It's actually the best ideal time to start thinking about home modification is when we actually build or buy a new house itself. Don't wait until we age, but we start having friendly features of house, so that we can everyone can use it when we get older. Okay. The focus in home modification is always making a home elderly friendly, and should always be on increasing and improving the self-sufficiency or self-reliance of the elder person, their mobility inside their house and also outdoors, the safety aspects, the security aspects, and also comfort and convenience for them to use. So I mentioned about low cost modification. Low cost are some of the basic modification to make a home elderly friendly, and it won't involve just adjustment to compensate for sensory loss that can be made without major investment or redesigning. So it's very minimal cost and easily done. So some of the examples might be walls can be painted in light, to reduce the glare, or the floors better to be dull rather than wax or very slippery, and also sometimes can give glare. More lighting to give a better view, and especially direct tasks of lightings when doing reading or other important tasks, like kitchen tasks. And the light bulbs, if you're using lights, it shouldn't be directly on the eyes. So about some of the other important modifications for low vision, the stairways should be well lighted, with switches at both top and bottom. Use colored edges, tapes on the edges, so that they can see edges of the staircase, and also use of grab bars, and also the contrasting colors to help in split level surfaces, where there's a difference in height, then better to have contrasting color tapes at the edge, so that people can know or perception of the depth. Okay. And also rearrangement of furnitures and installment of grab bars in the important places, slippery places, so that they can hold on when they are about to or feel like falling. So the general guidelines for home visit will be: patient need to move about freely in open areas to prevent difficulties and accidents, and simple hazards like loose rugs, yeah, which are very slippery and uneven, or polished floor should be eliminated. These are the main easy important tasks which we need to identify and eliminate first. Yeah. So when we talk about home visits, it's about the living situation. We need to see how many persons are in the household, who are the people available to support the person, and what are the typical household duties of the patient or the elder person at their own home. Yeah, what are the things, what timing the family will be around, and what time the patient will be alone. These are to plan, yeah, their routine, and also to see which areas they'll be using commonly to plan for the modifications. And after the visit, we need to physically assess the home, and should start from the main entrance of the house, their gate itself, up to the inside of the house. Yeah. So we need to see either there are stairs, steps, doors at the entrance of the home, and also later inside the home, we need to see the hallways, whether it's wide enough for them to move, or use the wheelchairs, or the living room area, whether they'll be um, mingling with other family members and their own bedrooms and so on. Yeah. So when we talk about home safety, the whole these are the items that we need to look: the entrance, the yards that might be used by the patient or the elder person, the bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, which are commonly used, the stairs if we are using, the doors, whether it's wide enough, or the type of opening, whether it's opening up or sliding, the floor, type of floor, whether it's slippery or non-slippery, the lightings, whether it's enough, sufficient, the furniture rearrangements, or the height of the furniture for them to sit and get up, whether there are emergency, what are the type of emergency system available for them to call upon their family members, or for medical emergencies, how, whether they know there are system available, and also the transfer and lifting in their own environment to move them around. Yeah. So let's start with the main entrance. Yeah. So when we start about the main entrance, can be some houses with gates or some without gates. Yeah. So it can be like some with wooden stairs, or some apartments you need to climb up a uh, high steep stairs. All this we need to see whether they can enter or not. Yeah. The ramps, whether a ramp can, simple ramp can help for them to access, especially those who are using wheelchair. Yeah, so they're easier to be pushed, and there's specifications for the ramps, what is the length of the ramp for easier push, or for self use of a wheelchair to be pushed. Yeah. So the stairs, when we talk about stairs, the treads and the landing should be non-slip surface, the nosings, the tactile warning blocks at the landing, and importantly the first step and last step, because that's the main place identified in research that most of the people have falls. Yeah. And the living room, yeah, the living room, the condition of it, whether the wheelchair can move around, or they can have uh, can sit in the sofa, and get up from the sofa easily. Yeah. And then always look for split level of flooring and clutters on the flooring, so that they can move around easier. The dining area, whether they can dine together with other family members, the wheelchair can be pushed, or they can be transferred to the chair to sit to eat together with family members. The sink for them to wash their own plates, whether wheelchair can access or not, is it open or with cabinets and so on. Yeah, so that they can have their own independence by doing all these things. And some of the kitchen modifications that we can uh, explain, or we can straight away inform how to do, yeah, for them to be independent in their own kitchen. Yeah. And some of the easy, like open space, or lower the plan of work surface, hang item vertically to easy access, and also store heavy things on lower shelves so that they can easily reach for it. Yeah. Okay, there are like adjustable domestic kitchens also, to identify what is the best level for them to use the sink, the ovens, and so on. Yeah. And for feeding, for drinking and eating, there are many utensils that can be modified, which are available, like easy grip cups, long, long, long straw for easy drinking, and also special plates so that easy to scoop the food. Yeah. When we talk about bedroom, it's important because most of the time our elder persons spends time using this room, so whether they can get up easily after they sit and sleep, and again they need to sit up. Yeah, so simple modifications can help them to sit up, yeah, from their bed, like grab bars, railings, and so on. Yeah, so the bedroom, try to place telephone near by the bedside and provide firm mattress for them to get in or get out. Yeah. Yeah, the clothing cabinets is also important for them to choose their own clothings, and simple riches can help them to choose their own clothings. Yeah, these are bed mobility. Use of sliding bars and sliding clothes to help caregiver to easily transfer the patient, and also some side bars easily available to be inserted under the mattress so that the person can sit up on their own and stand up from there. And easy usage of leg lifters ease them to put down their legs from bed, the weak leg, and also some bed caddies help them to get up from lying position. This is an example of leg lifter and transfer aids. Yeah, how to transfer from bed into the wheelchair or into the bathtub. Yeah, and also use of transfer belt straps, which can help the caregiver. Yeah, for easier transfers. Some places, or if you have high end technology, we can use lift walker or hoist to help them transfer if they are bedridden. Yeah. So inside the washroom, what are the modifications can be done? And railings which can be mobile, yeah, inserted in under the commode so that can use it to stand up or sit down safely. Yeah, grab bars are very important, and we must fix it at proper suitable position. Yeah, and if non-slip slippery floor, then you can use non-slip mats as well, and some ramps. Okay, the bathrooms and also the toilet facilities. These are some of the bidets and urinals that can help the elderly patient to easily use the and wash up, clean themselves after doing the toileting. Yeah, so some of raised toilet seats that can be used also available. Yeah, and these are aids and adaptive tools for them to care for the skin and the legs which can't be reached. Yeah. Okay, these are the hoists. They are fixed ones and also mobile ones to help the caregiver to bring about the person. Sometimes we might need to use stair lift because of difficulty to use. Some of the houses don't have rooms downstairs, so these are other options. And some of the communication tools, yeah, like intercoms or call bells, simple call bells or clock systems, so that they can aware of the orientation of the time. Yeah? And sometimes can use medication reminders to remind them of to take medications, and some simple tap openers or door openers to help them if they have weakness of the hands. Yeah, these are the folding ramps if you are using a rented house or you cannot have fixtures. And not only the indoors, we need to talk about outdoors also, the outdoor safety, whether it's even ground and so on. So the flooring always must be checked thoroughly so that the patient is confident to walk around. You can use non-slip floorings and anti-slip coatings as well, or use the proper non-slip shoe or other non-slip type of footwears. Yeah. So lighting's very, very important. No shadows, provide ample of lighting, and also sensor lamps for that. You don't need to switch on or off. It just identify your movement is on and off automatically. The furnitures, choose the right height, and also if they can recline, and sitting position will be better because they can rest and also sit up again on their own choice. Yeah, emergency system always have frequent contact with family, friends, and numbers so that they can always contact the relevant parties when they have emergency. Yeah. Okay. So always the problem in home modification will be the physical or psychosocial aspect. Financial is again, and type of houses and ownership, and also attitude of the our people in modifications. Well, universal design is always the best choice because everybody can use, yeah, in their own. Everybody can use the same facility in the house, yeah. So with that, I think we have come to end of our session. I would like to thank Malaysian Healthy Aging Society for arranging this platform to deliver this presentation. Thank you very much.